Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video where today we are once again taking on a bit of a different Formula 1 challenge. Now, F1 obviously this weekend returns to the iconic Sao Paulo circuit, home of so many World Championship deciders. So much history has been had around this Brazilian Grand Prix. And, you know, this circuit actually as well, I didn't realise this, and they didn't seem to make much fanfare about it last year either. But it's actually now been on the calendar for over 50 years, admittedly on and off inside that time. But it has been a mainstay in Formula 1 since 1990. That being said, though, it doesn't mean the track has always stayed the same as it is now. Obviously, the circuit we've come to know and love, one of the shortest on the F1 calendar nowadays. At just under 3 miles. Today I thought, what would happen though if we went back to the OG Sao Paulo? This place is 8 kilometers long. It's longer than Spa, and it's obviously still based in the same valley. I mean, you can still see obviously a lot of the circuit that exists today, but this version is so unbelievably different. Like, it genuinely, I was doing a couple of laps around here just to test everything was working. And it completely blew my mind just how different this version of the track is. Of course, if you're new around here, please do make sure you leave a like, get yourself subscribed. Of course, if you've watched the videos we've done in this series before, what we normally do is take a car of the time to do a few laps. This time around, I am in the iconic Brabham BT22. And on the replay cameras, you'll see the gorgeous Martini livery. And then, of course, yeah, we'll take modern F1 cars for a few laps and just see what it would be like if Formula 1 went to OG Sao Paulo. Now, I believe this version of the circuit, obviously, the track was on the calendar between 1972 and 1980, but it was kind of very intermittent in that time. It was then obviously scrapped between 80 and 1990 for, I can never pronounce it, Jacaparagua? Again, I've probably completely butchered that name, and I'm sure every Brazilian hates me. Before, obviously, yeah, Sao Paulo will return to the F1 calendar full-time in 1990. And, of course, yeah, it's been a mainstay ever since. Obviously, so many iconic moments around this venue. So many World Championship deciders. Obviously, it's not looking like it is going to be. In fact, I'm not even sure mathematically it can be in 2024 anymore. Obviously, Verstappen having all those issues in yesterday's, or the time recording this, yesterday's Mexican Grand Prix. And, well, yeah, looks like Brazil, once again, could prove quite pivotal in the championship fight as well this year. But, I mean, yeah, you can kind of see, obviously, as we make our way out of Junção. Obviously, for those of you who don't know, Sao Paulo is actually kind of built around a couple of lakes here. So it is quite limited in kind of the space it can utilise. I think that's why it surprised me just how different this old version of the track is relative to the new one. Of course, start-finish line in exactly the same spot, but instead, obviously, of the center S's, you actually stay right on the top of the ridge through turn 1 there. So you get a massive slide through that first corner. Of course, the modern track, that's down there off the side of that hill. So this is kind of the Escudo de Largo, but not the one, obviously, we know nowadays. It's approaching 300 kilometers an hour right up towards the top of 5th gear. You then shut the car in, it pops and bangs coming from the engine. That obviously is the final corner, so you're already now around the other side of the lake. You can see the run up and towards Ferradura just up there, but we actually then go around this tight little horseshoe hairpin and actually go the wrong way around Ferradura. So kind of obviously, oh no, Armco, ow. I think I might have given us some suspension damage. That was not ideal. I'm not going to continue using Forza Cam throughout the rest of this video, but can we just appreciate how utterly insane 1970s Formula 1 cars were? The ridiculously tall airboxes, the stupidly fat rear tyres. It was a wild time in Formula 1, and of course, mainly it was dominated by V8 engines as well. Of course, the Ford DFE was absolutely in its prime at this time in the sport as well. Formula 1, it's had some absolutely wild eras. Anyway, as I was trying to say, then of course we make our way up into, well, the reverse of Ferradura now. So of course this is normally where you climb up through that fast right-hand sweeper. This time around though we go back down it and in towards turn 4 and turn 5. So, of course, yeah, where obviously we saw Verstappen barge Hamilton out in 2021 through this corner. A lot less runoff back then than there is now. So, yeah, Verstappen, I think, would have got a penalty for that incident had he done it back in the 1970s. Then we make our way back up in towards the ZRS. Obviously, this would kind of be roughly where it is. Of course, we'd wind up the hill back over there. And now we kind of stay along the top of the ridge, kind of in where the pit lane is kind of now. They've moved a lot of land to try and make this circuit fit. Now we kind of go back into, obviously, the tight middle sector that everyone knows and loves from Interlagos, of course, with all those hairpins. But even then, this is nothing like it is nowadays as well. There, I think we're going around the top of Ferradura now. So, and then, say, this bit does look a little bit more familiar. You kind of come out of Ferradura once again, this time around the right way, before obviously you're met with a few more hairpins as well. It's kind of mad when you try and consider that this and modern Interlagos are at the same place. It's kind of there-ish, but not all at the same time. And I tell you what, this car as well, scary, but very, very fun to drift. As we'll try and make our way then down in towards the final sector. Of course, this seems, I'm sure, a little bit more familiar. And even the final corner of the lap, yeah, a lot more wide open than what we get in modern Formula 1. And as we make our way then out of Sao there, try and get the power out. I mean, because of the bumps and how little downforce this thing's got, I mean, these final couple of corners are completely flat in modern Formula 1. Not quite the same in this car as well there, but it sounds good. It's a handful to drive. I should have got the H pattern all set up for this, to be honest, today, because that would have been quite good fun, especially like with the clutch and everything there, trying to heel and tow it into all of the corners. Oh, as well, didn't want to do rallycross. There goes my rear wing. I think we'll get a modern F1 car, and we'll head into the race, because this thing is an absolute handful. Well, here we are then on the grid, ready for a 4-lap race here from Interlagos, and it's going to be lights out and away we go in our modern day Formula 1 cars. Only 20 grid slots available around this old layout of the venue as well, so no idea what Formula 1 would have done. Obviously, when they had more cars show up, I assume it would just be they'd chuck them all out there and kind of see what happens. They weren't really too worried. The 70s was quite a dangerous time to be a Formula 1 driver, but as we make our way, though, down in towards turn 4, the AI have already just bolted away from me just a little bit here. Even the lap record in a modern Formula 1 car is just under a 1 minute 55 around this layout, so it is definitely longer than Spa-Francorchamps. It rivals the Bahrain Endurance layout, if anybody remembers that, from 2010. That's a video I'm sure I'm going to have to make at some point in the future. But, I mean, yeah, it's so narrow as well, and obviously the thing was with a lot of these tracks, kind of before, what, the 80s or 90s, I would say, even into the 90s, was just how ridiculous the curbs were. I mean, these are just curbs you get on your high street. Something like that. Just, they're a proper step up, aren't they? It's absolutely mad as... I mean, yeah, I'm certainly not confident enough to take a lot of these corners flat out when the AI absolutely are. But it is a complete roller coaster, and I've said it so many times before, but AMS2 is just chef's kiss. I'm loving this game. Every single race I seem to do on it at the moment is brilliant, brilliant fun, and just constantly makes me want to come back and do more. I think it was one of the main reasons why I wanted to do this video this week, was it gave me another excuse to dive back in with this game, as of course through the bits that were a bit more familiar through, and close back in on the AI. Now, that a pretty bad track record of finishing last in the races we do, so I want to try and beat someone, anybody, in this one. But I mean, once we make our way though at the final corner here, how long are we foot to the floor, full throttle? I've gone onto it now. Let's see when I have to lift out again. I mean, it's so bumpy through these final couple of turns. But of course, yeah, modern Formula 1 car can handle that. I mean, there's fans just crammed into the grandstands absolutely everywhere. Turn 1 should be flat. Yep, there we go. Completely flat through there. Turn 2 again, completely flat as well. As you hear the plank scraping away behind me. Look at how many people are crammed into this venue. The Brazilians, they do love their motor racing at the end of the day. And finally, we come off the throttle down at turn 4 there. I mean, you can just do the outer loop if you want to. So that must be just one braking zone around this lap there, down at the bottom of the hill, which is just absolutely mental because you know full well they would have been doing series on just that outer loop at some point in the past, and it would have been so scary, you know, just with all the bumps and everything. But that was racing back in the day. It was absolutely insane. As I've got myself caught in a barrier. I might have broken Automobilista chat. This is not ideal. Right, we'll try to enjoy that flat-out section once again. But, I mean, Brazil has got such a long list of iconic Formula 1 champions. You know, between your Drivers' World Champions in Fittipaldi and Senna, the other 3-time world champion, Nelson Piquet, we say a bit less about him, but still. You know, to all the other icons as well, you know, your Rubens Barrichellos, your Felipe Massas. Brazil has no right churning out as many iconic drivers as it has. And, you know, it has been odd, obviously, in the last few years, obviously, when Felipe Massa left the sport. Obviously, I think it was something ridiculous, like the first time since the 1970s. Or even the 1960s it might have been, that there was no Brazilian on the Formula 1 grid. And of course, we've had Gabriele Bortoleto this year, been absolutely tearing it up in Formula 2. And obviously, you know, dominated, or, you know, did very well, walked away with the Formula 3 championship last year. Surely he is next in line as, you know, that long lineage of Brazilian Formula 1 drivers as well. Which you know, Formula 1 needs a Brazilian in the sport. It's just the way of life at the end of the day there. And I mean, yeah, hopefully, I mean, at the time of recording this, nothing's kind of been confirmed. We've kind of been waiting on it for a long time. Bottas still is adamant he's safe at Sauber for next year. I wouldn't be surprised if they roll the dice, though, and try to bring in a Gabriele Bortoleto. And honestly, at the moment, I genuinely woun't mind either way. I really do like Bottas as a driver. I think he is a bit underrated in the sport. But, yeah, somebody like Gabriele Bortoleto, I think, would be so good. You know, we've kind of seen how much South American interest there's been with Colapinto in, you know, just those few races that he's done late on in the campaign this year. And, you know, try and get a Brazilian back in full-time, I think, as well, would do wonders for the sport, because obviously Sao Paulo, you know, I think it's pretty safe on the F1 calendar anyway. You know, it is an iconic venue. It's hosted, you know, sprint racing ever since sprint racing was a thing. It just seems to work. You know, it's such a well-built circuit, a well-designed circuit. You know, for good action-packed racing as well. And of course, you get all the weather, you get all the drama, everything that there is around this circuit as well. You know, maybe not this version of Sao Paulo. But Sao Paulo, I really do hope, you know, is always going to remain on the F1 calendar as well there, because, you know, it is a very special place in the sport. And, you know, being able to kind of experience the history of this venue as well inside this game is always very cool. I mean, we're ahead of one AI at the moment. I want to try and see if we can make some moves, though, past another couple. There is around the outside through Ferradura. Of one, maybe even two there as all. We just lift up over the curbing on the exit. Was still going to be wheel to wheel, but just getting a little bit pinched in on the exit of the corner. But it's just, yeah, a really special place. And I think, you know, every single year, come rain or shine, the Brazilian fans absolutely pack the grandstands here. You know, they want to see, you know, they love Formula 1 racing. It is special to them in the same way as, I'm going to go for another spin. Come on, get out of the wall. Damn it. We'll get it pointed back the right direction. I mean, you just cannot really kind of predict this thing over the bumps here. It is insanity. Ground effect cars obviously work pretty well around modern Formula 1 circuits, but what I'm very quickly learning with this series is you take them anywhere else, like any kind of old school venue or anything like that, because they're obviously so stiff, they just bottom out instantly, and then you can't really do anything with them. Luckily, we're not too far away from the rest of our back markers in this race. It actually looks like on the mini-map, the AI have spread out pretty well, which is quite impressive, actually, for the Automobilista 2 AI. I'm hoping next year, apparently they're meant to be bringing career mode to this game. I think I'll have to give that a go as well, because, yeah, I really do think this game is absolutely fantastic as well there. But one more lap to go. Oh, no, it's not. Apparently I've set it to 7 laps. I'm definitely not going to be doing a 7-lap race here. That is far too many. Let's treat this as the last lap of this race then, as we try and make our way through. Let's try and get a nice clean lap time on the board there. I've got no idea what my best lap of the race has been, but I'm not going to expect it to have been particularly great at the end of the day. I mean, yeah, this circuit though, I mean, it must have been really, really difficult to set the car up, because obviously it's so high speed in places, but also, you know, very, very tight and twisty through others. It's really difficult to try and think of a modern Formula 1 track like it, that has got such a variety of kind of corners and everything. I mean, maybe modern Interlagos, kind of. You know, that track obviously hasn't got that many high-speed corners, though, unlike this one. Maybe a, you know, kind of a Spa-Francorchamps or something like that might do it justice. Of course, it hasn't quite got the elevation of Spa, but it's not much better. You know, this place is built into the side of a hill, and boy, oh boy, does it use that camera as well. As we just hear it scraping around underneath us through the bottom of the car as well. But yeah, there really aren't, you know, there just is not a track like this in modern Formula 1. And of course, yeah, this track could never exist nowadays. You know, it's through sections like that, it feels like a street circuit. I think, you know, a lot of this venue back in the day was obviously just streets as well. That was used in certain places, and of course... Oh, no. Find the grip, please. Thank you. Yeah, it was just, you know, kind of built in this city. You know, I'm sure at the time, to the despise of a lot of locals, because, of course, Sao Paulo has such a big wealth divide as well there. But, yeah, it really is just, you know, the fact... In many ways, it's kind of a miracle this place has stayed around for as long as it has. In kind of a weird way as well there. But of course, you cannot talk about this circuit as well, you know, without talking about... I'd say probably the two most iconic drivers here in Formula 1 have got to be Ayrton Senna, of course, finally breaking his curse, winning that Grand Prix in 1991, despite being stuck in 5th gear throughout the final stages of that race as well, you know, being so dehydrated and burnt out that he could barely lift the trophy up at the end of it, having to get dragged out of the car by his team, which of course, you know, such a happy and high memory for the Brazilian fans. And of course then the decades of disappointment for poor Rubens Barrichello as well. No matter what he did, you know, no matter what he tried, he could just not win this Grand Prix as well in Formula 1. And obviously, I think he had something ridiculous like 18 attempts at this venue, led in like 4 or 5 of them, took pole as well on a few occasions, and not only did he never win this Grand Prix, he only ever got 1 podium, despite, you know, being with Ferrari throughout the dominant years and things like that. He just had 0 luck around this circuit, and it's so sad to see. That's not good. I think that's probably a statement that maybe we've kind of explored everything we can do with Sao Paulo today. Thank you all so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure to leave a like. Get yourselves subscribed. This one, it's been a little bit buggier than a couple of the other ones we've done in recent times, but always fun to kind of appreciate and explore Formula 1's history. Get yourself subscribed if you're new. We're trying to hit 140,000 subs here on the channel. And yeah, we'll be back very soon with more Formula 1 content.